Hey, hi. I want to just say good evening to everybody and give a big shout out to everyone that came to this afternoon. John Little is our moderator from Michigan. He will be relaying any questions to me. When you type out a question, it's very hard for me to paint and read your question, so John tells me. So there's a slight delay from when we hear your question to when I answer it. For those of you who are new to this is the live portion of the GingerCookLive.gallery art lessons, and we do this every Tuesday night at 7:30 and 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesdays. And this last Thanksgiving, those of you guys who know my daughter, the art Sherpa, went over to her house for Thanksgiving, and we painted this Nutcracker, which I will just move this one out of the way for a minute. She did a wonderful big Nutcracker, and I did this one. And then you may have seen this already up on YouTube. It's available as a lesson. See how I painted the edges and did all this clever stuff? And we got really off into a Nutcracker kind of thing. And then I think Cinnamon did a Nutcracker this afternoon live, Artist Nutcracker, which is terrific, cracked me up, no pun intended. And then yesterday I designed this Albert Einstein Nutcracker. I think he's really fun. He's Christmassy, but you could leave him up longer depending on what you put around in the decorations. And I'm just going to show you how we're going to paint that tonight. I think that if you were decorating for the holidays, if you had a whole series of different Nutcrackers and even just made a new one every year, you'd have something that kind of a collectible item that could be very nice in a family. So tonight what we're going to do is we're going to paint Albert, and normally you'll see me, I never use black paint, but when you're doing a decorative piece, that's what we have to do. So I hopped over to Jerry's today because this particular canvas is 8 by 16, but I hopped over to Jerry's Artorama today and I found this smaller wooden panel. You see let me just put it next to you. It's 6 by 12, and I painted it black so that we would have it ready to go tonight. And I was going to show you how we would draw this on. It's a 6 by, it's wooden, and the reason I thought the wood was nice, if I later want to come and put epoxy over it and do some sort of epoxy finish, and if I decide to do that, I'll show you how I do it. That might be fun to do, and you can't do it on a soft canvas like this because the back is fabric and it would sag. So it's much better to do it on a wood panel. And I may not tonight of course, but at some point that'll be one of my tips and tricks is how to use like a sort of an epoxy resin and add like almost like a sheet of glass over your stuff. It's kind of a cool trick. So that being said, let's get started. Let's put this one out of the way. And if you may not have anything this size, and you could just take a regular piece of canvas like this and just divide it in half and just decide I'm going to make a Nutcracker. Or now there's a lot of things you can do. You could center one in the middle and then do a decorative border around the outside edge. It doesn't have to be long and skinny. I like them long and skinny, but there's a lot of ways to do this. I want to ask, is Sue Clark here tonight? Oh, she is. Okay, so Sue did this super Nutcracker. I haven't got it up on Pinterest yet, but she did her dog, and it's so cute, you guys. And if I'd had a chance tonight before this started, I'd print it out. I'll print it out for tomorrow's class so everybody can see it. This is what I'm talking about imagination-wise. So what we're going to need is some chalk, because we're going to chalk it in. And I'm going to use my ruler somewhere. Here it is. And let's see. I'm going to use my ruler. And I'm going to take a minute to sneeze. Give me a minute, and I'm going to be right back on that. I think under settings, what do I do, John? I hit the microphone. I see it. Okay, so there, that's nice. Now, when you're talking about, these are what we call decorative pieces. It's a little type, it's a different type of painting than you do, say, on, like last week we did this little barn, okay, in the snow and everything. We did a barn and we did some stuff like that, and it's different than the, than even a piece like this, but the idea is similar. So what you want to do is you always want an underpainting, you want something underneath it, and dry. And if you're using canvas, I would suggest sanding it, particularly when you want to do anything smooth where you think your brush is going to skip. My brush will not skip over this wooden panel, I promise you. This is the nicest, smoothest, easiest surface. But if it was, I'm doing it on canvas, I'd sand it, and if you were really doing something with fine detail, you might even do a matte varnish on it and seal it to kind of make it smoother. But that's just the thought you might have. Now the first thing we're going to do, oh boy, this is going to be fun, is tell you about, we're going to have a contest. Oh, another contest! Surely not. Oh yes, absolutely, another contest, you guys. And what we want in our contest is, this is a little different than we've done in the past. We want you guys to paint your own Nutcracker and send it to me. We'll have details about it, but we're going to have some neat prizes, and we thought that would just be cool. Because I was inspired by Sue's. We want you guys to do that, and Sammy, we're going to have, how's the judging going to work? We're going to have like the People's Choice, where people can vote on it, say which one they like, and Sammy's Choice, and then we're going to get an outside judge's choice, and we're going to give some kind of fun little prizes, which we'll talk about later. So that's how we're going to start. Now, all Nutcrackers have some sort of pedestal base, and in Einstein's case, I gave him books. Now, this is the books were based on 1-point perspective. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that if you got a line like this, and you got to you got to imagine, think of the letter A. Okay, and then if I do this, and like this, this is my book. Do you see that? Do you see how I'm making my book? So if you're not sure, this is as simple as I can show you. Make the letter A, and then figure how big a book do you want it. But if it goes back further, in 1-point perspective, it's like this. So I'm going to say that I want my straight line down here. I have 2 books he's sitting on. All right, so I'm going to just start with the top one, and imagine a letter A like this. Okay, so you're not sure how it goes. So that's a good one, don't you think, John, to explain it like that? Okay, and then I'm going to have another one back here. Okay, coming this way, maybe a little bigger book, and this is coming down at the bottom like this, and I'm going to say this book is just off the edge like that. So we have 2 books. Let's say here's the first one, like that. There we go, and then here's the second one. Okay. Now what I did between the 2 of them, I have one book where the pages are facing me, and the other where the book you write something on it. Okay. But he's got to stand on something, and his head's got to be up here. Okay. So I'm kind of looking at this one to decide how big his head is. So I'm going to erase my letter A. So if I said that his legs, then I'll just sort of do this for you. I'm making like a little box here, little rectangle. Then I'm going to make a bigger rectangle for his body, like a bigger box. Okay. And I think I need it tall. I'm going to say this is the top of his head, which is almost another square. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this rectangle up here like this, and then he's going to have 2 little arms coming down here like this. And generally speaking, Nutcrackers have round dowels for their hands, and we're giving him some cuffs because it's a lab coat he's wearing. Okay, so you see how I'm drawing that in, and I'm going to bring his lab coat down a little bit here. And let's see, do I have his legs long enough? Okay, so I'm going to say these are his legs, like that. and he's got some cuffs on his pants like that, and then he's got his shoes, kind of a half, like a half a clock between 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 3 o'clock for his shoes. All right, there's his books coming out. And the nice thing about chalk, why do we like chalk? Well, because if your painting's dry, you can take a damp cloth and you can just erase what you don't like, all right? And I'm just using a dry one now, but you can erase it, all right? So I'm going to make his legs a little wider here on both sides because he's wearing those, you know, those pants from the 20s where they're a little baggier. All right, and I'm going to give his coat here. And I want you to see how I'm making it. I'm curving the shoulders and then doing like little cuffs like this. Okay? And let's see, can I zoom in? I'm going to zoom in. All right. The thing I like, I mean, this could be any Nutcracker. At this point, this little basic, this could be a basic Nutcracker, except that normally Nutcrackers are kind of going in like that, and they're wearing like little military outfits of some kind, right? But so I've changed this a little bit, and then I'm going to say he has a collar here, which is the letter W. All right, see the W? People, when they say they can't draw, they learn to draw. You guys all learn to draw when you learned handwriting. Here's the letter W, and then I'm going to say he's got some sort of a red sweater on with a black tie in the middle. Okay. So there's his coat. All right. And then we know his hair is going to be coming out like this on the side. It's already starting to look like him, right? And now we've got two little side things like this. Here's his arms, here's his legs, and we've got a book. And you know what? We've got him drawn in, and that's how quick it is. I'm going to say hi to Secret real quick, and I'm just looking at some names. Hi, Witzel and Sue, and who else? I can't. John will have to read me some names. I'll say hi to everybody. All right, so you guys kind of see how I did that, and so if you want to know, on this particular canvas we said was 6 by 12, so I made his coat about 4.5 inches long, and I made his pants about 2 inches long, and his head I did about 2 inches. Okay, so if I hope that helps. And it's not quite square, it's just going to round it off like this. And I want you to know I went on the website and looked at lots of pictures of old Albert here and his facial expressions, because if you're going to do a caricature of somebody, maybe an actor or somebody like that, there's certain characteristics that person has that when you put them in, it makes them more recognizable. Absolutely. So, all right, so here's where we're going to go for here. Now I'm looking at the books, and I think I'd like my book a little bit bigger, like this. I'm just going to extend it out. Here's this book. It's going to be bigger. And then, of course, the one on the bottom is going to be bigger, too. The one that's underneath it. And that's all it is. That's as easy as it takes. So you can. Chalk is one of the most forgiving, writing tools you can have for that reason. I'm going to just say that there's this book coming out on this side here. Curve it around like that, and then there's where the book's going to be in the title. Okay. So let's put out some paint. This is kind of fun. I don't know how many of you guys are following along with me, but if you are, we'll do a little paint. We're gonna want white, red, green, yellow oxide. Now to make green, I'm gonna just use blue and yellow. But if you have green, that's okay. You don't have to mix it. And I don't want cad red medium. I want an apple crimson because I want a true red here. All right. And what I used for him was I went ahead and got a flow black. Mars Flow Black for tiny lines, but you know what? You could use a pen, even a Sharpie. You could use that. And let's see, I think we want a little yellow oxide for his face. Okay. And let's see what else. See, all right. Oh yeah, we needed some blue and yellow for green. But if you have a green, you know, that's okay. It would probably be a phthalo blue because we want a bright green. This is going to be pretty dark already, so I probably want a little tiny bit of phthalo blue and a little tiny bit of cad yellow medium. Okay. Now, what else? Oh yeah, burn umber. I think we said that, right? Burn umber. So that's what we're doing here. Okay. Now, the brush size depends totally on how big a piece you're doing. I guess, again, that's got to make sense to you. The bigger the piece, the bigger the size of the brush. This is only 6 by 12, but this one was 8 by 20, so that's or 16 by 8. This was a bigger size. This canvas here was much bigger than this one. Okay, so I'm going to put my paint out. Okay, give me a second here. All right. We want white. We got all that out. Now we need a little brush. My new brushes that I'm loving, I've got to tell you, I've talked about these before, and I like them a lot. These are these Simply Simmons brushes. They're inexpensive. If you know, usually, quite frankly, I don't want to use the word cheap, but you know, they're under $5 a piece, and they're all the same price. They're usually not very good, in my opinion, you know, but these have held up well. And people have asked me to say, well, what kind of brushes are you using? And if you can, try to get one that's on an angle brush is really useful because you can do a thin line or a wide line. And so I've got two of these angle brushes. Here's a small one that's 3/8 inch, and then I've got a little bit bigger one that's 1/2 inch. And then I've got just a bright brush here. That's they think they called it a number, what? I don't know. What is this? 16, I guess. Okay. And all right. And then this angle brush would be too big. Here's a smaller one. So we'll start with these. We'll start with this one, and probably I'm just going to do white paint. Now here's the trick. If you've painted something already a color, like for instance in this case, you know, I did black because I wanted to imply there was a chalkboard behind it. But you know, there's such a thing as green chalkboards too, though there weren't any when he was alive. So you could have painted it sort of chalkboard green too. Does not have to be black. But what you can do is leave a little space. If you're not real big on outlining, you can leave a little tiny space where your chalk line is and make that your black line. So if you're careful, you can get away with that too. See how I'm just painting in, and how beautifully this paint does. This is just titanium white over the board. It just doesn't want to skip at all. I mean, see how nice that is? And I don't mind if some of the black shows through. It makes it look like an older lab coat. So that's fine with me. Making this little cuff here to come around here on this side. Now see how if I have the brush on an angle, and then I can turn it around and make it go flat. I wasn't really aware of angle brushes particularly that much for years. Didn't really have any, but once I discovered them, I wouldn't be without one. An angle brush is really handy. It just saves you switching brushes. Now, let's see, I'm keeping going over this. I don't have any water on the brush. If you put water on your brush, what's going to happen is you're going to thin it out too much. And do not use water most of the time, either to have a little tiny bit of moisture on the tip and to change colors. But mostly I'm not using water. So how many in this group got to see Cinnamon and I on Thanksgiving? Did anybody get to see us on our Thanksgiving day from 2 o'clock till 6:30 Houston time? That was fun. It's up on, there's a link. John, I can't hear you. What? It's an all-day event from 2 o'clock to 6:30. We did the Nutcrackers, and then we did some where we did glow light paint, and then we glittered hers, which came out awesome, by the way. I love the glitter on it. Okay, so as long as I'm doing white, I'm going to go ahead and do the collar. And an angle brush allows me to do that. See the W shape now? That was really a lot of fun. I have to say, that was a lot of fun. We're still debating the cupcake debacle. I have to say, John and Sammy agree with me it could have been saved. Others who feel very strongly that it needed to be rescued and put in the trash. Just, you know, but that's okay. Now, look, if you feel like you need a little second coat, don't try to put too much white paint on one time. If it's not covering exactly the way you want it, and this is working for me, but if it doesn't for you, you wanted it pristine or something, then dry it and do it again. All right? Okay, so now as long as I've got his coat there, I'm going to just go into the yellow oxide, and let's see, didn't I put out a little tiny bit of brown? A little yellow oxide, a little bit of brown, like less than 1%. And I'm going to go ahead and paint his pants in. And because I didn't rinse my brush, people always ask that, I didn't rinse it because I knew there'd be just enough white on the brush to probably lighten it up a bit. So but I didn't make enough. So alright, so yellow oxide, tiny bit of white, tiny bit of brown. It's a second coat here. Here's these pants. There's sort of a off-white gold here. Now, boy, I woke up in the middle of the night and said we ought to do Einstein. This would be so fun. I have a whole collection of his stuff. You may not know this about me, but my mother was a friend of his. She died in the late 40s, but she was a friend of his and knew him in the early, the 1920s. And I have an autographed picture by him to her, and in our house. Okay, I'm using that same color, but with a little more white in it for his face. Okay, same color as the pants. I just put a little bit more white in it. And her name was Jean Dennis. And if you go to my Pinterest page, Ginger Cook Live, you can find out a little bit about her and why she knew him. Okay, so there we go. So there's the face. Okay, so I painted him in. And now what? Now what are we going to do? Something. Oh yeah, I want a little dark line here like that. Okay, so here's the nice thing about an angle brush is that you can use the corner instead of changing to a tiny brush. I just went into the brown paint, haven't rinsed anything yet, and did his little round dowels for his hands. Kind of a half, they're kind of tucked under his coat like that. And they should be light enough. You want them light enough where they show up against the black. When you're thinking about how to paint stuff like this, you think about what they're going to go over. Now I'm going to take a little white on my brush here, and I'm going to come down here just using the same brush, a little bit lighter, and I'm going to make cuffs on the pants just using this angle brush again. Little cuffs on the pants. Now if I didn't want to do this, I could, if I wanted striped pants like this, I could scrape out the stripes like this. Do you see what I'm doing? Take the back of the brush and just scrape out the paint. You can't see that. It's too far away. Let's get it closer. Let me get it closer. Alright, do you see how I just took the back of the brush like this and scraped out the stripes? And I could look at that, and it's okay. I don't like it enough to leave it like that, but you could. If you were not having total confidence that you could put a little bit more gold in these pants. That you could, get really good lines. You can either use a pen, or you could scrape out against the dried background. Put the cuffs back. There we go. Cuffs are back. Okay, and as long as I'm in the thing, I've got a little white on my brush. Put a little highlight here, a little highlight there. Make sure I've got a little, I want a little bit lighter on the top of these cuffs. Bring that down. Boom. Okay. I keep thinking, what can I do without rinsing the brush? All right, now we have to pretty much rinse the brush. That's all the colors we can do now with this. So backing it out. You'll notice it because my hands are all over this and this is flat. I'm not worrying about the books at this point, but I might just rinse the brush. Okay, wipe it off on a rag. Make sure you're doing that. And when you're using a rag, make sure you're pinching the brush like that and reshaping it. I'm constantly reshaping these brushes. Now I'm going to take a little bit of red, and I'm going to just go ahead and paint in his sweater like that around the collar. He was a big one on. Can I zoom back in? I can. Let me zoom back in. Now let's look at this for a minute. You see, it's against black. Now here's a trick. Red really is a reflective color in the sense that it doesn't do real great against a dark like background, like black or dark green. If you, for instance, if you're painting red flowers over, say, dark green leaves. I'm going to reshape my collar up here like this now. But look how much brighter the red is where I reshaped over the collar. Just see, I don't know if you can see that. So here's the trick. When this dries, what we're going to do is we're going to put a little Cad Red medium over this red, and I'm going to show you how to brighten this red up. Alright, so I'm going to bring this down a little bit using my brush at an angle. See that? I'm going to bring that sweater vest down a little bit. And then I think I want a little red line here. So again, I'm just using the knife blade of this brush. So it's such a versatile little brush. Little red collar things right there. All right, so that's all the. Okay, now what else is red? Well, you know what? What's red is down here. We've got it on the brush. Is this bottom book is red. So at least the binding is. So as long as I'm in there, I like to paint colors in as I go because they start to dry on the plate, and I may need 2 coats of red on this. So here it is. I'm going to paint this bottom book in. I'm running a 1/2 inch Simply Simmons angle brush, 1/2 inch, and make sure that you're curving on both sides out like the front. See, they're curved on the outside, like, you know, they don't. This one curves in, but this is curving out. This book to indicate that. All right, now, so if that's there, then I'm going to rinse that, and then I'm going to just leave that alone. Maybe I'll take a little blue, and I'm going to say that's the phthalo blue, and I'm going to say that this is the top of this book. Put a little white with it so it shows up. Now you could do this gold. If you were trying to totally do this Christmas, you might not do this blue. You might make the top of this book gold. Probably would have been a better choice. I didn't, so, but my mistake. It probably would have been better gold. Just saying. Because, I mean, red and gold and green are Christmassy colors. Holiday colors. But again, it depends on how you're decorating things. Alright, now I want a green. So now I'm just going to mix the yellow and Cad Yellow Medium and blue together, the phthalo blue. Now I've got a nice green. If you guys are buying greens, I have no idea why anybody would buy green when you can make it so easily. Green is one of the easiest colors to make, and if you have a phthalo blue and ultramarine blue, that's pretty much all the colors you need to make green. Sometimes phthalo green can be okay, but that's really bright. That's golf course green bright. I mean, that's just bright, bright, bright. And if I have a tube of that, that'll last me forever. I might use that in ocean paintings with some phthalo blue. But okay, now remember, when you're doing a book, if you're saying that there's the other part of you see the other part of the book down here, this is the top half. You would see some of the bottom half of this sticking out here too, like that. Okay, so all right, so there's the bottom edge of that book. Let me zoom back out now so you can see this. Now, and again, this is if you've got to imagine a straight line between the cuffs here. This is a straight line here. This is going to be a straight line here. Okay, all right. So that's my first coat of that, and I think this should be gold. Let's just take a second. Well, you're catching up with me anyway. Let me just take a second and turn that gold. I don't like that blue. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. I can't. It's just wrong. It's got to be gold. Ah. But what I'll do is I'll take a little cad yellow medium and a little gold, and I'll mix them 50-50. Now, I'm doing that because I want it a little bit brighter. All right. I don't want it to be inferred that this is the I want this gold, and I'll probably do 2 coats of this. Probably should have painted it white first if I wanted it really bright. But anyway, I didn't. And you know, you could gold leaf it too. That would be pretty. Gold leaf some of these too. You know, we talked about glitter. Cinnamon did a bunch of glitter, but you could gold leaf some of your stuff depending on what you were painting. All right, I like the gold better. And then I'm going to say that there's a book binding here like this. If I curve it like that, and then I'll curve it around like this, like my book here, and maybe make a couple little stripes like this. There. Now, you see how that looks like a book just by doing that? And you can put a title in here, but again, you can just do a few little fine lines like that, indicate book. Much more than, say, something else would. And maybe I'll put a little bit of red back here too, a little red edge on this. Oh, that's pretty. I'm thinking red's nice too. Maybe red with a little gold with that yellow. That makes it a little bit brighter. Ooh, nice. Okay, there, like that. Okay, so now we know we've got a book here. Got a book here. Now what about this one? That's white. So I've got, you'll notice I've got all the brushes going, and there's paint on everything. So you've got to start rinsing. Got to start rinsing. Okay, now back to white. Back to white. Now in the meantime, back at the ranch, as they used to say, his lab coats had a chance to dry. So if I felt like I didn't get a good enough coverage on it, I can give it another coat, just real quick, just a few places. I want that sort of dirty look, but maybe in a couple of places I'll just take some white paint and give it a little touch up like that, just on the cuffs maybe, right like that. And then as long as I'm doing that, remember we got the angle brush going. Let me just get rid of the chalk so you can see this. Let's do that. I'll get rid of the chalk. Because I don't want the, see, chalk just erases if it's with a damp. We're erasing chalk now. Alright, now, okay, so here's, see the bottom of this? Okay, so here's the brush at an angle. Now I'm going to put in pages of the book. So I'm just going to indicate there's some black showing through. Here's my, this gets curved like that. Okay, here's our white pages to the book. Like that. There you go. We have a book. And again, if you were, you know, if you did it, if you put it a little bit wider like this, but you still wanted the pages to show through, you can come back with a pen and do some dark lines, or like I showed you with the the brush, I think I'd take a sharp palette knife like this, something like this, and just come in here like this and scrape out the pages on something this small. Look how cool that looks. Just scrape them out. Scrape out the white paint. There you go. Now you've got perfect book pages. Let's see if I can show you that. Let me just put it up sideways so you can see it. Just see how I've scraped out the perfect book pages just by taking the back. You know, this was black, so then I took the back of just an old palette knife, scraped that out. But that's a good way to get detail, and it's pretty easy. And it just certainly, these skinny lines would certainly be a challenge to do. All right, so what's next? Okay, so our next thing is his hair and all that stuff, his face and his hair. So you could take at this point, and don't be afraid to do that, take chalk. Here's a pastel, just a pencil. Take chalk. Now what I noticed with him was that he had, I was just going to write, maybe not. Okay, I'll do it here. I want to be down a little lower. He had a lot of forehead showing in his picture. So I'm going to do a straight line for a nose. And sort of these half circle eyes. Let's see, I'm going to zoom in. I can show you on a piece of paper really quick. His eyes are like a kind of a droopy half circle. Okay, like that. And I'll still zoom in. I don't think it hurts to chalk in stuff when you're doing this, because, and the reason being is that you can take a rag and wipe it off if you don't like it. Okay, so here's his eyes, and he's got lines on his mouth, and then he's got his mustache, and he's got his bushy eyebrows, and then he's got these three little, you know, kind of lines on his forehead. Okay, so once you sort of decide that's the position, all right, and then his nutcracker mouth is down here. Okay, so that being said, none of these angle brushes, none of this is going to work for that. Now you've got to really have a detail brush. Bottom line, you've got to have a little tiny brush that you can make very small, which we have in places somewhere. Okay, where am I? Okay, so here's a little tiny one. I don't know if I like that one. What's this one? Okay, I put a tag around the brushes that I like. If I have one I like, this is a Bestie liner by Creative Mark, and I would wet the brush and pull it to a point. Now here's the deal. This is where flow paint would be helpful if you had a white flow paint, and the reason being for that is it will go quicker. But let's just pretend like none of us have that. So we're going to spray some water in our white, and we're going to make it sort of an inky consistency like that. All right. Then you want to sort of roll the brush around, kind of twist off the excess paint, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint the eyes down. Just paint those little eyes in like that, both sides. And you made the gold paint, so for his face, you made that face paint. So if you don't like what you painted, you can always come back with some, the face color and make some adjustments. And I'm going to come up here and say, there's his little bushy eyebrows up here like that, both places. And I think I'll just go back into the brown and do his brown nose right now. Can't believe I said that, but I'm going to do his nose. And just, there we go. Just a straight line, that's all you have to do. And then he's got these little lines on each side of his face. They're kind of like lines of expression. Makeup artists are really funny. When you get older and they want you to do something with these little lines on your face, they call them lines of expression. Very nice. Okay, and then I think I'm going to do a couple of little kind of almost like upside down U's underneath each eye, like that. And then I'm going to, let's see, do the little ones on his forehead, little wrinkles, 3 little wrinkles on the forehead. And each time I've misted this brown too, and I keep rolling off my brush. And for each little bit of color, I go back and get more paint. If you get too much water, then you don't have any consistency. Okay, here we go. Pull it off. This is just burnt umber. Okay, let's get a little bit more brown here. Too much water, it's too light. Okay. Now, in the center of these, I'm just going to do some brown pupils. Probably should have dried that. I'm just going to load it up with brown paint. Like that, in his eyes, right like that. Okay. And then I'm going to come down in here, and just above his collar, I'm just going to paint in the nutcrackers. Their mouths are just like these little rectangle shapes. Like that. Okay, paint that in. Now what? Well, let's see. Another little line right here. He needs some little bags under his eyes. Okay, now, what makes him look like Albert is the mustache and the funny hair. So I'm going back and rinsing this, and I'm going to go ahead and say that he's got this wonderful mustache coming down here, like this. Both sides, curving it. Say that again. All right, this particular board. Somebody wants to know what size board I'm painting on. So where did I put that paper from it? This is a little board. The original one I did, and I just for the expediency, this one is 8 by 16. All right. But this board is 6 by 12. You can see the size difference. Can you? Let me zoom. You can see the size difference on it. And the reason I did it small like this was because I think that it's just, you know, when you're talking about what I can show you to do in an hour, I can paint this one fairly quickly. And, you know, the size doesn't matter. You could make these much bigger. And I had this brilliant idea today, which I thought was, because when I was looking for things to, help cinnamon decorators set, I thought it would be cool to have some life-size nutcrackers, somewhere that we could see. Because we came up with this idea at the last minute, And they want major bucks for anything like this. Santa Clauses and nutcrackers and stuff like that. They really want a lot of money if you make these big. But think how cute this would be. I mean, you're all artists. Think how cute this would be to do this like about 4 feet tall. Make some nutcrackers really big and maybe, put them, just on a piece of, say, masonite, put them on either side of your door. Here, you see how I'm doing his crazy hair here. Okay, like that. There's his crazy hair. So got that. And his hair comes back from his scalp over the, you want to make sure it's touching the scalp. Like that. Make sure that you've got it overlapping the his hair color or his face color. Okay, so here's his electric socket kind of hair. I'm going to give another little coat of white on the mustache. And then right down in here, I'm just taking my small brush and just indicating his mouth like that. But I want to make sure I bring the mustache down very close to that. And then here we come with the white on his collar again. And I think I'm going to just do a little black line in between. Let's see, cinnamon, I think we both talked about this, if you just did a little bit of what color to make it, because the nutcracker mouths are, let me just paint this out again and then I'll put the teeth in later. It didn't have a chance to dry, so we're going to say that there's the nutcracker mouth, and I'll take some white and just cut off these corners. Okay, so all right, so there's that, and then we'll fix the teeth later. All right, so we're waiting for that to dry. Okay, so we're waiting for that. Let me see. I think I was going to show you something. Here's some Cad Red Medium, and do you see how dark my this was just Naphtha Crimson. I'm going to go right into the tube of Cad Red Medium. I want you to see why you need to own this red. Look at the difference in how bright that red is. Can you see it? And Cad Red Medium is the color. We're painting nutcrackers today, but is the color you want to use if you're going to accent, say, an apple, and you need to put a highlight. You would want to use Cad Red Medium, because it, instead of, say, white or yellow or something, that is the, well, unless you were doing a yellow apple or something, but okay, that is the color that you want to use, and it's a wonderful, and it's well worth it. I'm going to just put it down here like this, and later on, I won't put it on the book, but I put it on his cuffs. You can see how much brighter his sweater looks now using this color. Okay, just a little speech about why you might want it. And he's looking cute, right? We're getting there. Now I'm going to rinse the red off a couple of times. And let's see, I think I need to take a little white paint and come out from the side of his head like this. I want to make sure I've got the white coming out this way. The hair direction on this is very important. I can't say that enough. That the direction of his hair, where it's coming from, where it's leaving. This is. There we go. All right, I'm going to bring it down like this. All right, perfect. Now, what else? We lost these lines right here, lines of expression. Didn't want to lose those. Oh yeah, white highlight in each eye, little brush. White highlight in each eye. That's too much. Put some brown back. There we go, perfect. All right, now I'm going to go into black paint and just going to go ahead and put his tie in. Because in his photographs, in Albert Einstein's photographs, he always seemed to wear this vest and tie things. He was very fond of these ties. So I'm going to go ahead and say that here's his necktie coming down like this. And this is where the liner brush is very nice. If you want to outline your guy, you could have left a little of the background, but also you can use a small little brush like this to outline. And this is something that you would outline when you're talking about decorative painting like this. You would outline it. I'm going to come up here like this on each side of his cuffs, and because I'm using black paint, I can go ahead and make a few repairs. It's the same black paint I used on the background, so it's easy enough to just fix anything that I don't really, I'm not so fond of. Now his pockets I made pretty much level with the cuffs. These kind of lab coat pockets. And again, if you wanted to take more time with this, you could maybe put some pencils or something sticking out of it. I'm going to just say that he's got some buttons coming down here like this on the lab coat. Right like that. And I gave him a pipe, which I thought was really kind of cool. He has a little pipe sticking out of his mouth, but I got to finish. I'm going to dry this and finish his teeth first, and then we'll put the pipe in. Which means I have to rinse my brush pretty well. And let's see, where are we with that? Let's see. Okay, so this is where a palette knife might be helpful. I've got one of those. All right. One thing about it, if you need some paint and you need it to flow, you can get a palette knife and you can mix some water into it, okay? You kind of squish it around. It's another trick, is to just kind of mix the water into it like cookie dough so that it flows a little better. Now I'm in here with the little tiny brush again, and now I'm getting much better results because I just took the time to do that. I'm giving him a little set of teeth here. And I think probably the easiest thing for me to do would be to make 2 lines across the top and the bottom, like that. You know, sometimes you're talking about trying to paint individual stuff in. That's just crazy. I'll do 2 lines across the top and the bottom. Then I'll go into the brown paint. And well, let's dry that real quick. Just takes a second to dry something. It's so worthwhile. Now, we're going to take the little brush. Make sure I pulled it to a point. Always pull your brushes to a point. You're using brushes like this. Take a moment and pull them to a point. Now I'm just going to separate just the teeth like that. There. That's easier. It's easier to just put some little lines in front of them than to do that. Okay, so I want to just make sure I've got a line for his nose here. I didn't think I'd got that right. And I'm going to bring his mustache down a little bit. His mustache has to come down almost over the top of his teeth. But in the meantime, I'm going to take I'm going to put his pipe in like this, just a little black line, and then his pipe is at an angle, but it's like a little square. Well, it can have a little round bottom like the letter U. Here's his pipe and his teeth. And into that nice white paint I did, I'll put a top on the bowl, barely touching it. Okay. Alright, good. I'm just going to do something over here like this too. I don't know. Bring that white over more. And then, rinsing my brush, I'm going to come down here with the mustache. Bring it down. Take the gold. Refine the nose. Now look, if you've got too many lines, this is what the gold paint's for. You can come back here and you can add, you know, little features like that. There we go. Oh, perfect. That's fun. Okay, and I could take a little bit of gold like this and just, let's see, wipe off the excess. You know, do a little bit of this so that when I put the white over it, my mustache has a little more definition. The smaller you make these, a little bit more challenging it is for the details, but I think it's well worth the time. Alright, so we're going to back this up now. Back. Now we've got a mini-me. See? We have a mini-me. Isn't that cute? Got the mini-me. This is a good thing. Now you see how dark red this red is down here at the bottom. We can change that on the book. I want you to just see what that does. So, okay, so here's our book again. Now watch the difference. This is a cad red medium. Look what a difference that made. I'm just doing it right out of the tube. Because, you know, this is festive. Alright, so there's my bright red book down there. I like that. And, oh yeah, the stripes on the pants. We need we gotta put the stripes on the pants. So I guess I can move him up like this. Put him up on this one so you can see him. And then I'll zoom in. Haha. Okay. Now, here's the deal. If you're not sure about a stripe, put a dot at the top and then a dot at the bottom. And then aim for that. Now take the time to do it, because sometimes you can get real lost in your stripes. Dot at the top, dot at the bottom, and then just come down here and aim for that. Harder you push on the brush, the fatter the line. Now I am using flow paint with the black, and that makes a big difference. Okay, so I'm going to do it again. Dot at the top, dot at the bottom. Not a very big dot, just enough so I know where I'm going with the stripes. I'm going to do another one here a little bit closer in. And how about over here on this side? Maybe on this very edge here. Do another little stripe. And that's how you, I mean, that's a really, I don't care if you're talking about tree limbs. We're just talking about stripes here. If you're talking about tree limbs or drawing things in where you have to, you know, make a line from one place to another and you're not sure that you can connect it, trust me, your mind will go, oh, you want it to go to that dot? We can do that. It's a way to trick your little brain. It'll do it for you. Harder you push, the fatter the line. So if you want a wider line, push it fatter. Now that's not to say you could come in here. Somehow when you're using like even a Sharpie, sometimes you get a lot more control over that than you would otherwise. Okay. So I'm going to just say here's the cuffs here. And I think I'd like this line a little bit thicker. Alright, so there's our stripes on our pants. Doesn't that look 1920s to you? It does, doesn't it? It does to you, right? So then I'm going to take a little bit of the light color. I want to just sort of, you know, finish off his cuffs. Make sure I've got those in here, like, you know, kind of better. And then, oh yeah, black for his shoes. He has the black shoes, so let's put those in as long as we're doing it. We're going to give him some black shoes. And remember, his shoes are half of a clock, from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock, up and 12 o'clock. Okay, so there's his shoes. A half a circle. That's it. That's pretty easy, right? You can't. That's all you'd see in this. The shoes like that, and then you can pinch the brush off. I didn't even bother to rinse it, and just put a little highlight on both shoes like that. Oh, looks very, very patent leathery, doesn't it? See, fun. Okay, so far so good. I think I need to come back with a little white on the mustache. My white paint for some reason isn't covering well tonight. So I'm going to give my white mustache a little go. All right, better. All right, so now where are we? Okay, I'm going to back out here. And look, I mean, look how close we got. It's just, I mean, you know, this is a matter of preference on how big to do it. Now, I did something to do the rest of this, because I wanted to just show you. To do the rest of it, I'm going to put the little brush in water. I got out a chalk marker. This is one of these little chalk markers. You know how you shake them up? Now you could put anything. You could go, if you go and look him up on the internet, you will see all kinds of formulas that you could put up. So this one I was particularly fond of. A equals X plus Y plus Z. If A is happiness, X is work, Y is a play, and Z is keep your mouth shut. That was one of his formulas. Do you love it? Okay, that was the key to happiness, right? And of course we have to have E equals MC squared. Of course that was his famous formula. And I really wanted this to feel like a chalkboard. And you could just take chalk and these chalk markers were a good idea, I thought, because of that. And you know how you shake them up and then you just you pump the chalk out like that. Now, and you'll notice that there's no chalk coming out of this marker. And that's an interesting thing in itself. Now, here's why. Because I didn't tape it. If you want chalk to come out of your marker, you should tape the marker. I hope this is a white one. Yeah. You want to tape the marker after you use it. And because otherwise they dry out. See, look at that. That's coming out of that. But let me see this one. These are different brands, but I like the tip on this. Maybe I can switch them out. Wonder if this will switch out for me. No, it won't. We'll put it upside down. I need a smaller tip. wonder if this will work. Oh yeah, okay, reverse the tip. I like that. Okay, this one's trash. It no longer works. Alright, so, you know, do something on with the marker first before you get crazy. Alright? So now, what I would suggest before you get too crazy with this is just take a clean rag or cloth and make sure that you've cleaned up your background. Because once you put this marker on, get all your chalk off, your extra chalk off your picture. Make sure you've got all the chalk off. You know, and dry it, go around it, make sure, because you've chalked stuff on here to begin with, and you probably smudged this background. So try to keep it as neat as possible, and then you can write on it. I'm going to write on here, E equals MC squared. Okay, just like that. And I think what I wanted to do to suggest it was Christmas was I just chalked on some holly like this, some holly, and then just did the little dots like that. And then what I did was I came around the top of him, came around the whole top of him, and I've got this nice sort of light, I don't know, what would you call this, Christmas tree lights. And then, let me just show you on a piece of paper what they are. They are, here's your lights coming down here like this, and then I just did 3 lines and a light bulb like that. Just suggest a Christmas tree light. Keeping it very simple. So I'm saying there's 3 lines and there's a little Christmas tree light. The harder you push on this marker, the fatter. So maybe I've got one up here going this way. And a lot of ink is coming out of this, more than I would have liked, but that's okay. I've done this with a brush too. So here we go. And you can just put a few of these around here like this. And one on each end here. Whatever you have room for. I want a nice big one up here. And we'll put a little highlight in each one. And again, it depends on what you have room for. You can kind of blot that off. A lot of ink's coming out of this one. A little chalk. But, you know, markers can be very helpful for things. You can see how I'm writing on this, right? And then on this one, I wrote A equals X plus Y plus Z. Okay, because I wanted to make sure I had that one on there. And I think you could write ho ho here if you wanted. Alright, and I've got R equals O squared. I don't know what that was, but I put it in there. I saw this. I just got a picture of his board and started copying down things that I thought might be useful. Okay? So, let's see. Can I do any of this marker? Will any of this come up here on my mustache? I just want that to show a little more. Okay, alright. So that is our picture, which I think is kind of cool. And now I'm just going to go back and look at anywhere on here that I want to do something else. This is what you got to do when you're all finished with something. Take a moment and look. Do I need to put any white paint anywhere? Does it, you know, acrylics dry darker? Do I need to do any touch-ups? I have black showing through, and I do want that, but there may be some place that you want it a little bit more pristine. Maybe a little highlight here on his necktie would have been good. Let me see. I'm going to put a little bit of black back in his hair like this, because there's too much of a blob right there. I don't like it. And the nice thing about it on something like this, because you already know how you painted the background, so if you didn't like what you painted, you could paint the background back, dry it, and repair it. That's the trick. And you're never stuck with acrylics. You're never stuck with anything. Like right in here, for instance, I don't like this bit right here, so I'm just going to take some black paint, paint that out as long as I'm doing it like that. Okay, then I will dry it very quickly. Just like that, and come back in, find that little tiny brush that I was using, go back into the white paint, and make sure I don't have any blobs on it, and put his hair back a little bit better than I had it. Okay. John, do we have any questions? You like everybody? Okay, so I'm going to just come back here with a little more white here on each side. Because remember, acrylics dry darker. I keep saying that. So in a few places, I've got to do a little bit more white here. Okay, like that. Oh, thank you. Hi, Natalie. Natalie says that she likes the painting. I appreciate that very much. Natalie, I can't tell you how much I do. And that's great, because we appreciate you joining us. And there, I mean, you can even take your black paint and kind of, touch up your chalk somewhere if you need to. Here's a little places where I've kind of... oh, we got to write a name on here. We got to write a name. Now, I'm sorry, I wrote my name down here. I just wrote Cook. And what did I use for that? I used a gold leaf pen. But you can use, like, these are called uni paint pens. This is a uni paint pen, fine line marker. I don't think they make these anymore. I think that they're called... there's a company called Stafford, and Stafford makes 1,000 different kinds of pens. They make Sharpies, and they also make oil painting Sharpies. Oil paint pen Sharpies in fine point. Okay? And again, this is another one of those deals where you just do like this and pump the pen up, right? And you see how this isn't writing anymore? Well, I could have shaken it up a little bit. But if you do not tape the edge, these things dry out. That is the absolute truth. Let's see, what do I got that I haven't... Oh yeah, here's a silver one. Let's see if we can make this one go. This is by Decor Color, Liquid Silver, which I used on this other one. And that might have been pretty too. The reason I didn't use it on the rest of it is that I wanted it to look like chalk. But I can just take this pen here and just write my name like that, Cook. And I could have written something up here on this book too. I could have taken here and written, let's see, T-H, M-A-T-H. So I'm going to put an H here, and an M here, and an A, T. There, so I wrote the word math on this book, and you could write some funny little formulas on there if you wanted to. You could give it a little... Don't be afraid to use your pens, your decorative pens. That's what they're for. Use them. Be happy. Use them. Okay? So if you're having trouble doing fine stuff, go get a pen. That just your caveat is it can't. If you put water on it, the liquids, it has to be waterproof. And not all of them are, but they'll tell you that, and you can always test it out. So there's our Einstein picture. I think he came out kind of cute, you guys. I hope you think he did. Oh yeah, I forgot to do one thing on his eyes. I've got to bring this across here like this, and like that. There we go, on his eyes. There. All right. Good. I don't know if you can see it, but those are our nutcrackers. This was the one we did. If you want to know how to do Nutcrackers too, this one is up on YouTube right now, this lesson, and you'll also see the one Cinnamon and I did on Thanksgiving. So this is the end of our class, and this didn't take very long. It took about an hour to paint this in at a 6 by 12. This one would have been a little bit longer to do. That's why I did it small. So I'd love to answer questions. We talked about a contest that we're doing. Remember we mentioned that, some sort of contest. Anybody remember that? Let me tell you what the prize is going to be. All right. Do you see this set of brushes? No, you can't see it. Wait till you see these. I don't even own any of these. These are so fancy, I own none. All right. Do you see the way they're cut? Can you see that? See how each one of these are notched out. So you can make ribbon brushes, multi-liner brushes, angular brushes. Remember all the trouble we went to do the little stripes on the pants? One of these brushes would just automatically do it for you. This is a set of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 brushes. These are over $60, these brushes. And we got these from our dear friends in Houston, Jerry's Artorama in Houston, which I will zoom back out on. Jerry's in Houston, Texas, not the corporate, but Houston. And from Daniel Elliott, the manager, and he said I could use these as a giveaway. So the new contest is going to be, and here's these cool brushes. I mean, I'm jealous of you guys that you're going to win these. I don't even own any of these. These look so cool. And it's not something you'd probably go out and buy for yourself, I don't think. You know, but it'd be great to have. And so here's the contest. We're going to give you you have 2 weeks to do it. And we will announce it in 3 weeks, the winner. And we'd like you to paint us an original Nutcracker and send it to me at ginger@GingerCookStudios.com. And we will put up the information on our website so you can see exactly where to send us a photograph. And then we're going to start. I'm going to have a Pinterest page on Pinterest. That's going to be our Nutcracker board for our contest Nutcrackers. And we're going to have 3 judges. How's our judges going to work? One of them is going to be what, John? How is this going to work? Professional judging, yeah. Sammy's going to pick a runner-up, yeah. And there'll be a People's Choice where you can have your friends vote on your picture, okay? And so if you want to know how to do all that, the information is going to be on GingerCookLive.gallery. If you're not familiar with our site, I have over 150 hours of video lessons it's all inclusive for $24.95 a month, $19.95 for seniors. You can watch it on your iPhone, your TV, your computer. And I mean, honestly, I put up new lessons every week. There's some fantastic different things we're doing. We did some snow globes recently, and I've got some back. I've got to say, my snow globe artists have just been so impressing me. I want to move our little Einstein out of the way for a minute here. I'm going to do a little quick show and tell. These are the snow globes that we've got, and I'm going to just show you that. I'm going to zoom in like that, and this is a snow globe. If you don't want to be a member, you can still do this. They're on our website, and you can download this one if you're not a member. The members have these, but if you're not a member, you can download this for $4.95 and just own it as part of your library. And here's one also that's the village. And these are just some examples of some of the winter scenes that we'll be doing. We'll be doing this soon. This little winter bridge again soon will be one of the ones. And here's another snow scene that's going to come up soon. And this was a recent painting we just did on our website, how to do the little barns and so forth. And these are the kinds of things that we do, plus all kinds of fun things. And we would invite you to come look at our website. Last week we did, just to change it up because everybody's tired of snow, I showed you how to make abstract flowers using a conventional photograph of a painting of flowers and how to abstract it. You know, how to just, do that particular style. So it's fun. John and I are very happy to have you come out and interact with us. When you send me your pictures, for instance, if you remember GingerCookLive.gallery, I write you back and tell you how you can improve it, if you need to, or just what I think. You get my opinion, which, you know, I know when I was starting out as an artist, I would have loved to have some artist that was a professional artist I could send my artwork to, and they would give me an opinion and send it back to me. And even now, I appreciate my professional artist friends giving me their opinion. Sometimes an outside opinion, you know, you can't see your own forest through the trees sometimes. An outside opinion can be very helpful. And so really, honestly, if you never got another lesson for $24.95 a month, I think that's worth it. Just go ahead and send me the artwork from the lessons. And also once a month, you can send me something that wasn't on the lesson, which is kind of cool. So please feel free to go to GingerCookLive.gallery and check us out. And I will now turn this over to John for questions and questions. If there's any questions you guys have for the last few minutes, I'd love to hear it. Like that. Well, then I want to thank you guys for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I don't know what we're going to be painting. Something kind of fun. I hope you're inspired now to do nutcrackers. I got to say, Sue Clark did a terrific one with her dog. And I know you'll all come up with some interesting ones. It'll be fun. I think it'd just be something fun to do for the holiday season. We haven't had a contest in a while. And of course, all your entries will be included as part of the entry for the grand prize, even for this, regardless. You'll have fun painting them, but they'll all be included in the grand prize. And so if you don't want to, here I'm going to say this. If you want to just be a voter and you don't want to send us anything, then hit the Contact Us page at GingerCookLive.gallery, hit Contact Us, and just say, I'm not sending in a painting, but I'm part of the Nutcracker Contest, and we'll include that for the end of the year. That'll count as an end of the year grand prize entry. Okay, how's that? Sound good, John? Does that work? Let's see, where's my thing? I want to just zoom out a little bit here like this. You can see our little nutcracker. This is a fun size, 6 by 12. It really was, wasn't it? And here's, but honestly, can't you imagine how cool these would be? Like 6 feet tall and some really formal nutcrackers and sitting outside the front door. You know, as little guards for your holiday decorations. Would be pretty, and it wouldn't be that hard to do. Now that we've explained the anatomy of a nutcracker. That's what we should have called this, the anatomy of a nutcracker. All right, fun, you guys. Thanks for watching. Listen, we're going to leave this up. We appreciate likes and comments, and likes and shares. Like, shares, and comments on all the videos. That makes a big difference on how many people see us on YouTube. We appreciate your help in sharing and spreading the word of the art lessons that we're doing. So big shout out to everybody, and thanks for joining. And, have a wonderful evening.